Okay, we are live. Welcome to the Fireside Whispers podcast. I'm so excited to introduce you to the wonderful Samantha Lotus today. She is an incredible peak performance health and lifestyle coach. She's also a conscious leadership business mentor where she blends mindset and energetics and strategy to guide leaders into their ultimate power and potential. She's also a really dear friend of mine too, and we've known each other for around 5 years now. We actually met in Costa Rica back in 2019 at a very wild, transformative, and expansive retreat in Punta Mona, in a part of Costa Rica that I absolutely love. And we've been on quite the journey since. I've worked with her. I've had some business mentorship from Samantha herself. We've hung out in Spain. We've had some travel experiences together, and we've also collaborated on some projects, and we've become real allies. I really love our friendship and how we weave together and how similar our work is. You know, I admire you. I look up to you, and I just love the work that you do in the world and the way that you are leading in such a important part of what is needed in female entrepreneurship and health and wellness and speaking your truth out there to the world, because it's quite rare to see someone so authentic. So I would love to just welcome you to the stage. Samantha, it's so lovely to have you with us. How are you?
How could I not be amazing after getting an introduction like that, Faye? Thank you so much. Wow, my heart is just so full, and I feel so grateful to be here speaking with you and to reflect on our really wild, like you said, wild and incredible journey. And a lot of mirroring, as you had alluded to. There's, it's so funny in a way and rare and beautiful and powerful to meet somebody where you're like, oh yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Okay. And that is really something so special. So I'm super grateful to be here chatting with you.
Thank you, love. Yeah, it's so great to connect in this way and share wisdom and stories and all of the magic that we've been up to in the world. So my first question to you, Sam, is, can you tell us and the guests tell the listeners a little bit more about your work in the world and what it is that you do? I'd love to sort of understand. And actually, in a way, it's kind of catching up with you because we haven't spoken too much in the last year. So I'd really love to hear where you're at now with your work in the world.
Thanks so much, Faye. To sum it up in a little short sentence, it would be to really show people what's possible when they go all in on themselves, like truly. And not just what's possible or potential, but what's really inevitable. I am all about personal power and unlocking and unleashing the true potential. And my fundamental belief about humanity is that we have been conditioned and truly plagued with a virus of sickness and smallness, disease, depression, oppression, and mediocrity. And I'm just allergic to that. And I really love co-creating with other leaders who just see something bigger for themselves and who see what's possible for humanity and who are excited to step into their magic and into their gifts, share their medicine with the world. And it's truly a movement of empowerment. And so the way that looks in certain ways is it looks like health coaching, or it looks like leadership coaching or mindset coaching or business coaching. But essentially, it's really elevating and raising the bar for how people get to experience themselves on this planet at this time.
Beautiful. Yeah, I really, really hear you there. And it's so needed, leaders like you to really support other women, other men. Do you work with women and men?
I work with 90% women and 10% men.
Yeah. Just like me.
Yeah. In the business coaching, it's a little blend of both.
Okay. So coming back to the women that you predominantly work with, what are the types of women that you help with your work?
That's shifted a lot. And this has been one of the biggest parts of my journey. And I just made a post about this today as well. I had a really big savior complex growing up. Okay. I used to be obsessed with Greek mythology and especially Atlas. There was something that really drew me to Atlas and Zeus as well. It was this weird thing, but I really felt like the world was on my shoulders. I had the ability and the answers to help people, and I needed to save everyone. And that came from not being able to save my mom or my family. And so I felt I had to save the world. And so when you have a savior complex, you attract people who are victims, who are in victim consciousness. So that was the first 10 years of my career, was trying to save everybody. And let me tell you, that is extremely painful and draining. And it often costs a lot, energetically. So that has shifted majorly. And now the people that I work with are the people who are already awakened. They already get it. They're hungry for transformation. They're like, to just give me the information. I'm going to embody it. I'm going to take action. I want to be here. I really work with people who are looking to become excellent, who have this standard for themselves that they want to achieve and create and be, and they're really here on purpose. And those are the only people that I really want to work with now.
Great. How exciting. Yeah, I really love witnessing you supporting people in that way and taking people to the next level, and the holistic approach that you have, which is, looking not just at the health, but at the clothing you're wearing and at the environment that you're living in, your thoughts, your beliefs, your subconscious programming, the way that you're looking after yourself with supplementation. And I love your approach to diet and health, and even just consuming like media and different, you have such a broad holistic approach to health. It's not something I've seen much around the world, where you can take someone and look at their business and look at the way that they're living and breathing and acting in the world. And that really, I think, is so important, because it's never just one thing that is keeping us small, keeping us stuck, or sabotaging us. It can be such a huge amount of things that we don't really understand or don't really know until we hire someone like you. And, there's that ability to have that reflection and that understanding, that knowledge, that well of knowledge that you have in all of those areas, which I know as your friend and collaborator, that it's really birthed out of your journey, your personal journey. So I'd love to hear a bit more about what got you to this point. Why is this the work that you do in the world? What was the bit of the story that led you to this moment?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. I'll backtrack just a little bit. And, I say this all the time. The way you do anything is the way you do everything. And what that actually means is not like in the doingness, but it's in who you be, and it's in your values. And for me, I value nature. I value truth. I value purity. I value high vibrational things. I value things that are beneficial. I believe everything is either a poison or medicine, depending on the dose and the intention. And I really seek to live a holistic medicinal life. And like you said, nothing exists in a vacuum. So although you may think it's different, but the clothes that you choose and the way you interact with your partner and the way you do your business, they're all interconnected, right? The way that you treat your body and the way you treat your clients and the way you have a relationship with your family, it's all connected. We live in an ecosystem. And so the way you do everything is the way you do anything. And I like to optimize all of it. And that came from being a disaster. I was a walking mess on legs. I grew up really sick, really like mentally sick, really emotionally sick, really physically sick. I went through immense pain in every kind of way. I went through immense health issues. Both my parents had cancer very, very young. My grandparents had cancer. There was all sorts of psychiatric issues in my family. I grew up just in a sick Western society with a sick Western diet, surrounded by poverty and sickness. And so my life was really painful growing up. And at the age of 18, I had been diagnosed with hypothyroidism, diagnosed with bipolar disorder, diagnosed with just mood disorders and this thing and that thing. And I had lost my menstrual cycle. My hair was falling out. I thought I was crazy. I was doing really self-deprecating and damaging things. And I just found myself at the bottom of the barrel, just near dead, just thinking, okay, like I hit my rock bottom, and I realized something needs to change. Like something needs to change. My life is a disaster. And so it was going through this journey. And at the same time, watching my mom, who was 35, get diagnosed with advanced thyroid cancer, and watch her going through chemotherapy and radiation and getting her thyroids removed and all the treatment, and watching her go down that very allopathic way, something inside of me said, this is not right. right? And my doctors just were prescribing me antipsychotics, antidepressants, thyroid medications, all these things. And something inside was just like, this is not right. There's a big no inside of me. And so I started to seek, like, why is my body doing this? Like, what are the other possibilities? Is there only pills? Like, is that really all there is? And I really asked the universe. I didn't believe in God at the time. I was atheist. And I asked someone, I said, please, like, if there's something out there, just help me. And all of a sudden I started to find naturopathic doctors. Didn't know what that was. I started to find Eastern medicine. I didn't even know Asia existed. Like, I was stupid as a child. Didn't know anything. I didn't know about nutrition. Didn't know that eating pizza and burgers every single day and drinking alcohol 5 days a week, didn't know that was effective. I didn't know anything. And so I started to find all of this information and all of this wisdom. And then I heard of something called yoga, and I heard of like spirituality and energy. I didn't know any of this. And it all just started to come to me, and it woke me up, and I realized, like, whoa, why have I never heard of this? Why doesn't anyone talk about this? Why? And I just started to flood my consciousness with all of this amazing alternative healing. And I started to implement these things. And then the universe would give me more. And people would say, hey, Sam, you need to read this book. And I wouldn't read it. You need to read this book. And things just kept like hitting me in the face. And finally I was like, okay. And so I started to implement all these things, and the healing started to happen. I got off birth control that my doctor had prescribed to me at 15 without telling me anything. Got off the birth control, my bipolar cleared like that. I started eating fruits and vegetables and drinking water. My body started to change. I stopped hating myself and hating on myself and doing self-deprecating things. My moods and my hormones started to heal. So it was this just really natural, authentic, kind of divinely guided journey of learning all of these things that I had no clue existed.
Wow. What a journey you've been on. It's so inspiring to hear the way in which you took your sickness and your struggle and the dis-ease in your system, in your body, in relation to some of the societal conditioning and the lack of understanding and the lack of education that we really have growing up, and decided to take that as fuel and turn that into who you are today. And therefore you're able to help people with all of the regular problems that we're facing as human beings. And it's so beautiful to just see and witness you. And I must admit, hearing you reflect, the way that I see you transform even year after year from the 5 years that I've known you has just been incredible. I mean, you look even so different today than when I last saw you. It's beautiful to see you coming more in alignment with your passions and desires, and your beautiful relationship that's blossoming, and all of the amazing business expansion that's going on in your life. So I really love watching your journey and seeing you taking the knowledge, taking the wisdom that you're learning like a sponge, absorbing it all, and taking it out into the world to help others. So what I'd love to understand a bit more about is, like, what is the thing that drives you? What is your reason for wanting to be in this space in the world, in this way of helping people, in the field of healing, in the field of lifestyle expansion and consciousness expansion? Like, what is your drive?
Well, it's certainly not because it's easy, because it's not an easy path. For me, okay, I'm 35 now at this time. And when I was going through this, it was pre-internet, okay, because that's how old I am now in this generation. And we didn't have the internet where we just have TikTok with all these remedies and all these things. And so for me, when I started to find this, I was like, people need to know about this, right? And now that we have the internet, we actually have a different issue. Is there's too much information, and it's all contraindicatory, and it's all confusing, and there's so much noise out there. And so my passion is still what it always has been, even though it's a little bit different. It's to educate, to inspire, and to empower people, and to show them that there are other options. Right? It used to be that I was extremely against the medical system, and I hated doctors, and I hated all that because of my pain. That has shifted a lot to, I want to show people that there is another way, and it's actually really gentle, and it's beautiful, and it will just reconnect you with your soul and your reason for being. And for me, I want to make other people's journey easier than mine. And it's like this, there's just a calling inside of me that even though it is very challenging and I get canceled on the internet and I have people attack me and harass me and abuse me and all sorts of things, right? I get called quack quite often and all the different things, but it doesn't matter because there's just something inside me that says I'm on this planet at this time to do this thing, no matter what. So let's go. And that's really it.
Yeah, I love the way you are revealing so much of the truth to your audience and to, the world at large in the way that you have that perspective through the lens of true health, authentic health, like what it actually means to be in alignment as a human being with the natural world, the natural way of being. It's so important when we go on that health journey to understand all the different factors that can influence our health. And so would you be able to share, with our listeners a little bit about some of the information that you feel is really important that you've sort of gathered on your health journey in regards to your specific health and wellness?
Yeah, that was a journey. I used to think that it was all psychology. My major is in psychology. I thought I was going to be a psychotherapist. So I really thought it's all just the mind. And then I went and I lived in Korea and I learned Eastern medicine. And I thought it's all just nutrition. Right? It's just the food. And then the journey took me on, it's just energy medicine. And then I realized anytime you think it's just anything, you're wrong. It's all of it. So I feel that the three main components are mind, body, spirit. And the mind is so important. What thoughts are you thinking? Right? What are you living in positivity or are you living in negativity? That's one of the biggest ones. What are the stories that you're telling about yourself and about the world and about your own health and about your just the subconscious mind, as you know, as a therapist and somebody that does hypnotherapy? I feel like that's the epicenter of what happens in your body and your life. The second is I do believe that we are flesh living in a 3D world, right? And the things that we put into our bodies affect us. So I believe that we need to optimize the physical body by eating pure, healthy, nourishing foods, by removing toxins and chemicals, by not poisoning the body. I do believe that there is a body aspect. And then the third piece is the soul. And whatever religion you are, if you're atheist or whatever not, but I believe that there is a connection between us and something greater. I believe that we are an extension of source consciousness or God or the universe, and that our soul embodied into physical form to accomplish or experience something on this planet. And so I've seen many people that have a great mindset and they're eating healthy and they're doing all the right things, but they're not living their purpose. And so they're quite unwell. And when they decide to listen to that inner voice and that calling and they shift the trajectory, everything just magically comes into alignment and they feel great and everything works out for them. So it really is about aligning, like you said, aligning your mind, your body, and your soul. And there's lots of tools on how we can do that, but the tools aren't really as important as the fundamentals of those three pieces.
What I hear so strongly in your share then is the piece around purpose and alignment to your purpose. And when I worked with you a few years ago, that was the beginning of my alignment into my purpose and the beginning of my business journey. And as a lifestyle architect and cognitive behavioral hypnotherapist myself, hiring you and working with you and realizing that you were living in alignment with your purpose was super inspiring for me. And it really was the beginning of what has now unfolded in my world as a successful business, helping loads and loads of clients all around the world, and that global business that can be location independent, but helping people in such a holistic way without, needing to spend years and years in therapy, but actually get to the root of the matter in a matter of months by having that holistic approach of the mind, body, spirit. You're so right. I really love that approach. And I feel sometimes there's this lack of integration of the three pieces. It's like we have the ability to go down heavily in the spiritual path and get a bit lost in that, or just sticking with the mind. And I think actually it's all important, and the body sometimes gets completely missed. It's like our body has so much wisdom. I love that book, The Body Keeps the Score. And it's it's just so important that we sometimes forget the somatics, the somatic aspect of our lived experience. And so I'm really grateful to have understood that early on in my journey from you around that approach that is all encompassing of the such important matters of our existence, to be fully well and wholeness is such a drive for me to become a whole human being rather than the quest for just being happy. It's like, how can we be whole? How can we be okay with feeling the joy and the grief, the sadness and the pain and the rage and the anger and the hate sometimes? How can we have a sense of being that encompasses all of that, where we are okay with what is? And I feel that's so important on the journey of bringing into the mind, body, spirit connection into everything we do in our life, whether it's our career, our relationships, our health and wellness, our lifestyle. Yeah, really, really
Totally.
important.
And this is the thing that, some people think I'm very anti-medicine. I'm anti this. I'm not anti that. However, I feel that the perspective of the framework utilized is very important. So in medicine, which it really is not medicine, it's pharmaceutical drugs. In that framework, they look at disease and they hyper focus on disease, so much so that they don't see that there's a person attached to this disease and they don't see that there's a life attached. And so there's many issues there. But then even in holistic medicine, and so, I have my certification as a holistic nutritional practitioner. And even there was just too much of an emphasis on the food that you're eating and very little on the subconscious or on the lifestyle itself or on the spirit itself. And so even that, and I see this a lot, I do have a qualm with holistic medicine because it also is too heavily focused solely on the flesh. And so there really is a call for the integration of all the aspects. And I feel like that truly is where people are going to have the biggest transformation.
Totally. Yeah, I feel what I'm coming to understand in my own health journey, and where I've got to really understand my body in a deeper way, from being nomadic for 5 years to then picking up certain, parasites and things along the way of living in, South America and different parts of the world. I've started to realize that one of the most important aspects to being well and healthy is slowing down. And it's something that is really true to my heart. And it's my word for this year, for 2024, because I notice in the world, everyone's in this space of more, like more money, bigger success, more virality on TikTok, or more likes on Instagram, more reels, more work, more fame, more, communities getting bigger, and just so much of this more that we're finding in society now, and instant gratification. And my reflection over the new year was, well, what do I want my year to be about? And I realized that slowing down is at the core of it. And then I spent the first week of the new year in a retreat all about slowing down, which I didn't even realize was the reason for the retreat. So it's been incredible and quite a quick manifestation on that front. And through the retreat of actually slowing down, I noticed some of the root causes of my gut issues and the things I've been dealing with, and some of the stuff that's felt quite fast, too much, too soon, too fast in my life, relationally, or with regards to my lifestyle or my work or taking on too many clients or whatever that is. And I thought, well, this is the best time to practice this slowness. And I realized slowness in what? Okay, it needs to be about everything, like the way I walk between places, the slowness of my eating, which it aids the digestion, who I am discerning to be around, the slowness of my waking up in the morning and the nourishing self-care that I give myself, the slowness of my talking. And all of that is such a counterintuitive thing to be doing in society today, where everything is happening so fast and technology is speeding everything up. So I would love to hear a bit more about your relationship to slowness and how you feel that is an important part of your life, if it is or not. I don't know.
This is the most important question I think you could ask me at this time. And what I want to say there too is we think of digestion in terms of food, right? we digest. Oh, I think we froze for a second. I think we're here.
For a second. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, everything needs to be digested, and digestion happens in the gut. And so when we're running around and we're doing all the things, even if you're not eating anything, you're still taking in, and that energy needs to be processed in the digestion. So I also have struggled with digestive issues for a long time because I am the poster child for the A-type personality that loves to achieve and accomplish and do and acquire and grow and expand. And I'm more mental dominant than physical dominant, or more masculine dominant than feminine dominant in my energy centers. And that has created some health challenges, specifically digestion and hormone imbalance due to over excessive cortisol release in the body. So for me, slowing down has been such an important part, a monumental part, and also the hardest part. Because for my entire life, 35 years, I've been in two speeds, fast and super fast. And now I'm learning to go regular speed. And regular speed compared to fast and super fast feels like death to my ego. It feels like just such pain because it's so different. And yet that's exactly what my body has needed. And really what expansion needs, right? Like we need to slow down to be able to speed up. And we need to have those times of integration and of stillness and of calm to heal and to regenerate. And so it's been also my mantra for this past year and going into this year is to balance and oscillate the expansion and the contraction and the pace as well. Yeah, pace and frequency. I used to stuff 100 things into this space, and now I put 100 things into this space. And it's making the biggest difference on my nervous system. And so, yeah, really hugely important. And I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like slowing down is the new way, it feels, in so many parts of the types of communities that I'm part of now. It's like a real key piece. It's not about constantly achieving. It's like, actually, I notice myself being able to accomplish more in a more beautiful, relaxed, peaceful way when I can slow down and let the kind of the universe like take care of so much as well. There's this cosmic flow that I notice I get into when I slow down. And I also been reflecting a bit around, the parasympathetic state of the nervous system and the sympathetic nervous state of the nervous system, and how we are 90% across the world, and myself included, in our sympathetic nervous system state, which is the fight and flight, freeze and fawn. And the parasympathetic is such a rare state that we're in, which is the rest and digest. And so that's part of the slowing down, is like, how can I increase my life to be more parasympathetic this year? And it's so beautiful because even when I'm not working, there's work coming in, and it's about creating ways of passive income and being able to have more impact without having to do more. And so I think that's the smart way of really being able to slow down so that your needs are taken care of, and you can be in that parasympathetic state where you're able to digest your food and digest your reality. There's so much going on in the world. As you said, there's so much information. So yeah, I really love that little nugget that you shared there around how that's impacted your gut specifically, and you knowing the energy type that you are. And we're quite similar in that regard, the achiever, the fiery aspect of our personality, both projectors, open in our centers, very mental. So yeah, I really resonate with you around that piece. And I think learning more about your own design and who you are as a human being, as what we do as we teach and help our clients with, can allow us to create a lifestyle that's in alignment with who we are. And so I'd love to sort of ask a bit more, Sam, about your lifestyle. Like, how have you architected your life to suit you and your type of personality that you are, and your needs and your energy and your sense of being in the world to support that?
That's an interesting question because it's shifting a lot. I've been fully nomadic for 13 years, and that really suited my personality for a long time. I got to be so free and expand constantly. And I have friends and family everywhere in the world. I could go to any country and I could pick up my phone and say, hey, I'm coming. Can I stay with you? And the answer would be yes. And that's beautiful. It's allowed me to experience everything I wanted to experience. And that felt really good until about 2 or so years ago. And then it started to feel really not good. And right now it feels really not good because the body has been saying, okay, Sam, I'm 35. I want to have a baby. I want to get grounded. I want to plant deep roots. And the traveling and the moving and the constant expansion is not suiting me anymore. And so I am on the last little legs of the travel journey. And at this time, I'm looking for a permanent home. And I'm so excited. All I want to do, Faye, is I want to renovate my home and decorate my home and create a nest and a little reading nook and plant deep roots so that I can expand not sideways, but upwards more. And so in the meantime, what that has looked like for me, even though I'm still traveling regularly, is to have routine and to have that slowness. I wake up at 10 a.m. Okay. Like, I'm not in the 5 a.m. club. I let myself sleep until 10 a.m. And that's been the case for the last month. I sleep 10 hours a night. I take a slow breakfast. I drink my matcha lattes. I have so much spaciousness. I only really work 3 days a week. I do not stuff my days. I am not ambitious at all to grow and expand. This year, or 2023, I made a third of the income that I made in 2021, and I don't care because I am calibrating to a new state of being, and my peace and my nervous system and these roots are more important than anything. And I know that I can turn on the machine again in a moment and I can hustle and grind and crush and attract or magnetize, whatever I want. But this phase has really been, like you said, working on the parasympathetic and creating new ways that my body really feels safe. And that has been in the consistency and in the spaciousness of time and of my ambitions, just letting my mind chill out for a little bit and shifting the focus to my body and what it's really wanting from me.
I love hearing that. It's music to my ears. It sounds like we're both at a very similar point in our lives, which is no wonder we're having this conversation and sharing this with the world today. And, I find myself also having, definitely not 13 years, but 5 years nomadic. And in that nomadic life, that's where I met you. We were both traveling all over the world, and that was such a beautiful time. But I also find myself in that space of wanting to root down and find home and something that feels safe and expansive for my soul to just rest and be nourished in and be able to drink really good water and maybe even grow food and be able to open up the possibility of having friends to come and stay rather than me being the one staying all over the world in my friends' houses and not living out of a suitcase. And so it's that time that we're both in, which I love. Like we seem to mirror a lot, as we said at the beginning of this podcast, how much our lives are so similar. And where are you in the world at the moment then?
I am currently in Dubai, where you used to live.
Yeah.
So I'm in Dubai. I've been here for a couple of months. I'm going to Australia in 3 weeks, be there for a few months. And then the home search in Dubai is happening. It surprised me. I never thought I'd live in the Middle East. I never thought I'd live in Dubai, but it snuck up on me. The universe has spoken, and it feels really good being here. Really good, really, really good. And the misconception, in we have a lot of British people here, and in England, there's a different view on the Middle East. Being from Canada, we see the Middle East as a bad place, right? We're really conditioned to see the Middle East as this bad, dangerous, not safe, like religious, the whole thing. And it's been so beautiful to be here and just let all of that old conditioning completely fade away and experience something so beautiful. So it's been a joy being here.
I love that you've fallen in love with Dubai. It's the Middle East has got a place in my heart, having lived there for a total of around 7 years, I believe, in my life. I spent 3 years from 2016 to 2019 in Dubai. And then I spent around 3.5, 4 years when I was younger, 1997 to 2001 in Qatar, where I grew up for a part of my childhood, and my father worked out there. And so it's like a home. I have this real love for the Middle East and the culture, the rich culture. I'm really someone who loves to live in places where there is that deep rooted culture that you can really taste and feel and smell. And there's nowhere like the Middle East. And so I love that you're there. I'm going to have to come and visit you and maybe check out a possible chance of living there again. You're inspiring me, because I hear it's changed so much
Yes.
in the last 5 years since I've left.
Yeah, well, if you like the sunshine, Faye, I mean, we have it all year round.
Yes, it's definitely different to good old England for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
as I say, sat in the winter
Mm.
in Europe at the moment. Yeah. So, well, thank you for sharing a bit more about your lifestyle. I really resonate with, working 3 days a week and getting up and having those hours in the morning to just be with yourself. And that's, as myself as a lifestyle architect, that's what I love to help people do, is design a lifestyle that can be supportive to their nervous system. Because when our nervous system is supported, everything else is like a knock-on effect after that. It's like a dominoes. It's, our sleep is more relaxed and deeper. Our digestion is better. We can open up to new opportunities. We can take on more. We're more resilient. We can achieve things with more ease and grace. It's so centered in our nervous system. It's so much resulted in how we are in our way of being in a day-to-day life. And I heard this term the other day: when we have a sweet disposition, it's because we have had enough sleep and we've been able to digest our food properly. And then we're able to enter into the world as a kind human being without too much trigger or charge around us. And we have this sweet disposition. And I really love that. That really landed for me. It's like, how can I take care of my basic needs to feel safe when my nervous system is rested? And then from that place, how can I live my life? And that's where I feel is the beginning of getting into alignment. It's that root foundation of what is the state of our nervous system, because that impacts our way of being. It impacts so many factors in our life. And so, yeah, architecting it in a way that is in resonance with what it is that you can take on from your day to day, living experience is so important. And you and I both love to travel as well, and that can be intense. But it's like, how can we architect that to be in alignment where it's open and spacious and luxurious, to be able to go from different country to country? And that's something that I've slowed down in as well. It's like, I'd rather do less travel, but when I do travel, it's in a more luxurious way. Beautiful hotels, renting gorgeous Airbnbs, being able to have a space to cook my own food, eat organic, that sort of thing, and sleep well, and have better flights and things like that. So is there any sort of wisdom you'd share on travel that you've noticed that supports you to stay really grounded and healthy while you're traveling the world? Because I'm sure that's a question for the nomads out there, or people who want to travel.
Yeah, do some research and be
Yeah.
prepared. And people think, oh, it's so hard to find healthy places to eat. No, it's not. You just Google it. Healthy places to eat near me. Bring a water canteen with great water. Have some supplements, specifically magnesium. Take some essential oils with you. Make sure that you're vetting where you're going to go and where you're going to sleep. And like you said, having that spaciousness, getting grounded on the earth if you're changing time zones, so that you calibrate to that new time zone and to the earth. Get into nature as much as possible. There's just, it's like such the basic things. It's how can you take care of yourself, your system, first and foremost. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And so you did mention a bit about your health journey. And so my question to you, Sam, is would you be open to sharing a bit more about one of your biggest challenges that you've had in your life and how you overcame that?
Two, I'll speak to two. One that was a little while ago and one that's current. So the one that a while ago, I don't know if I mentioned this. I had this cancerous blood situation when I was about 26, and my whole life imploded on itself. And I did plant medicine journeys, and all of this kind of unveiled to me. But I really suffered with self-hatred a lot. Through my early years, I made very poor decisions based on very low self-esteem and self-rejection. Like I said, I made a lot of poor choices. And I realized that when I had the bipolar years, I was pretty horrible to the people that love me the most, specifically my family and some of my previous partners and even best friends. And I had lied, I cheated, I stole, I manipulated, I did some really poor things. And I also harmed my body a lot. And when I realized that through sitting with ayahuasca, actually, and I went into why I had a cancerous blood situation, what was revealed to me was it was a reflection of how I hated myself deeply. And facing that and facing why I hated myself and having to re-witness everything I'd ever done that was harmful to myself or others, and having to sit with that, that was the first one. That was really, really painful. Just acknowledging and realizing and feeling the feelings I did not want to feel. That was also the thing that changed my entire life, was sitting with ayahuasca and sitting with myself and going through the feeling, the accepting, the transmutation of healing and forgiving and having deep compassion. That was the biggest one. That one took a long time. And now it's my nervous system. I love doing. I love being a doer, and my body. And when women get into their 30s and above, things start to change a little bit, and you become maybe a little less resilient if you haven't been taking care of yourself so well. And I'm still going through this challenge with my nervous system, where it's very clearly asking me things, and I am meeting its needs while also really trying to continue to push the boundary. And that's been my big journey now, is honoring both my mind and my body. And I know what I need to do. And yet there's still this draw in me to continue to push and to continue to make it happen. And so the human doing rather than the human being. But it's a journey, and I've learned to be patient with myself and compassionate. But when the nervous system isn't working so well, especially in women, that absolutely, our cortisol affects our DHEA, which is our precursor to all of our hormones. And so the cortisol within my body has led to a lower progesterone level, a higher estrogen level. Some of my testosterone is a little too low. And so I feel the effects of that. And it's something that you can't just pop a pill and you're better. You actually have to rejuvenate and replenish. And that is a journey. And so that has been my biggest challenge, is slowing down and nourishing at the level that I absolutely know I need to do.
Yeah, totally agree. I love hearing that around the piece of like the cortisol and how that can have such an impact, knock-on effect of so many different factors in our body. It brings me back to a memory of during lockdown. I was in the best shape of my life. And I didn't go to a gym. We couldn't. And I just walked every day. I walked my dog, and I did yoga, and I ate really well, and I slowed down, and there wasn't much to do. And I thought, wow, that says a lot. It's like a huge eye opener to less is more.
Yeah.
And just realizing that when I slowed down and I took myself on a gentle walk, and I did some yoga and some stretching, and I ate really well, and I slowed down, and I did like a quarter of what I was doing in my normal life. I think the whole world slowed down. We had to. We were forced to. What a great lesson. I took that nugget from the crazy time that we had, and realized I want to continue that through my life. And it's been a bit of a struggle to get back to that doing of nothing, like doing nothingness. That space of more being and less doing. And I think that's the journey we often find ourselves on as humans who are here to evolve and grow and expand, is like, yes, but how can we do it in a holistic approach? How can we do it in favor of our nervous system and our energy bodies, that's in support of taking care of ourselves first and foremost before we step out and try to accomplish all of the big dreams and all of the big things, because that's all possible, but we can do that in a more relaxed, natural and peaceful state.
Yes. And for all the leaders listening to this, for all of the coaches or anyone that's supporting other people, the lesson here is to truly give from an overflow. When your cup is full and it is overflowing, that is what you give. But when you only have a few drops left in your bucket and you're trying to give those, there's a totally different energy, both for the person receiving those last few little drops and for you as well. And so how can we, and this is exactly the journey I'm on, as well as how can we truly bring ourselves back to that state of overflow where the abundance that's just flowing, that's what we get to give. And the receiving of that is so beautiful and so pure. And it truly is a win-win. And that is where everybody just elevates and rises and is truly empowered. And we get to shift the martyr lines of consciousness, which again is very connected to the savior lines of consciousness. And so this is this question of how can we all bring ourselves up to that place of overflow? And it is truly possible.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. Putting our own mask on as well before we help others and support others. It's got to come from that overflow, as you say. So yeah, really beautiful. Wow, so much information and wisdom there. Thank you so much, Sam. My last share to you, or my last question to you, is what is a whisper or a piece of wisdom or principle that you would like to share with our listeners and next guests? I mean, beyond everything you've already shared.
Yeah. Just to deeply know that you are worthy, that you are enough, that you are deserving, that you get to put yourself and your needs and your dreams and your desires and your goals first and foremost, that you absolutely are worthy of being in the overflow, and that your gifts and your message and your medicine, it matters and the world needs it. And you've got this, truly and deeply, you've got this.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sam. It's been amazing to chat with you today and catch up and hear all of the juicy, beautiful words of wisdom and knowledge that you have in this industry of health and supporting people to become the best versions of themselves in all areas of their life in such a holistic approach. It's been really, really, truly wonderful to hear you and all of where you're at today and the journey you've been on. So thank you so much for being with me here today. And I look forward to us connecting or even seeing each other soon. Thank you.
And thank you for all of your beauty and your grace and your wisdom. I love hearing everything that you shared as well. And I know that the listeners did too. So thank you so much, Faye. This was such a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.